Hello Internet, I am back today to talk about another film from 2021 that finally came around to theaters near me, so I got a chance to see it. And that film is The Tragedy of Macbeth, directed by Joel Coen. So I'm a really big fan of the Coen brothers' works. I've seen a lot of their films, and each film is so unique and interesting. And what I love about them as filmmakers is they really take on whatever projects they want. In each specific circumstance, the movies have, comedic tone, they're dark, they're sadistic. In each film you get incredible performances. Even in some of their weaker films like The Lady Killers, you still really get phenomenal performances from their actors. And The Tragedy of Macbeth is a film that when I saw the trailer for, I can't say 100% that I was excited for it, because I'm a person who's always loved to read in my life. When I was a kid and I'd get assigned books in English classes, I would just burn through them over and over again, and I loved reading. Contrary to popular opinion of the masses, I never liked Shakespeare. I always found Old English to really be irritating. It always felt to me like a long-form way of saying something simplistic, and I understand that it's very beautiful. There's an art form to writing in that language, but as a kid and as a teenager, it irritated me to have to translate every little bit of it. And so when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I don't 100% know whether this is going to be for me, but I'm going to watch it anyway, and I was pleasantly surprised. This movie has some of the best cinematography of the entire year. It has some incredible performances, and it really made the story of Macbeth engaging and interesting to me, and I'll get into that in the review. Macbeth, the Thane of Glamis, receives a prophecy from a trio of witches that one day he will become King of Scotland. Consumed by ambition and spurred to action by his wife, Macbeth murders his king and takes the throne for himself. First thing I want to talk about in this movie is the performances. Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand are incredible. The chemistry that the two of them have, the way that their monologues are delivered are fantastic. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a movie that is entirely in Old English. I made a joke in my Letterboxd review that the person sitting next to me in the movie theaters looked at their significant other and said, "Is it gonna sound like this the whole time?" And I just laughed so hard, and I was like, you're in for a fucking treat. It takes a lot of talent and skill as an actor to be able to convey that level of emotion with a dialogue that's very old and that takes a lot of time to memorize and to convey correctly. And I know actors all over the place have really wanted to perform not just Macbeth but Shakespeare. My favorite Shakespearean performance of all time, Stephen Toast, cut in clip here.
Come on, man, I'm stuck to the phone.
The standout performance of the film for me, though, was Kathryn Hunter as the three witches. I mean, you want to talk about dedication to performance. She is terrifying, really menacing. Every time she shows up on screen, she just gives 100%. She even plays an old man at one point in the movie, and it's just like, wow, the range that she has is just absolutely incredible, and I loved her performance. And sometimes, even when the story was difficult to be translating the Old English as you're watching it, because of their physical performances and their facial performances, you really get the gist of the entirety of the story. And obviously, if you're familiar with Shakespeare and Macbeth in general, you're going to know what's going on. For me, what really hit home was just the way that each one of these performers commanded the screen when they were on it. And Denzel especially, there were some moments where I was just like, damn, this guy can act. And obviously he's been in the game for a really long time, but some of those monologues were just incredible, and I loved seeing that. Secondly, which is pretty obvious from the trailer, the cinematography in this movie is breathtaking. I don't really know how else to explain it. It's shot in beautiful black and white. I thought The Green Knight was going to be my favorite cinematography of 2021. This blows it away, which is shocking. This feels like a mixture of really beautiful set design, lighting choices. There's so many weird and unique shots in this. I recently watched Edward II, which was a film from a while back. Was a take on, this time period done in a more surreal and unique way, I should say. And it was conveying a very different message. But what I found interesting in watching Edward II and then watching this film shortly after it was this like very stone concrete castle settings where everything feels very like devoid and empty and ominous. And it really feels like a stage performance because it gives a lot more room for these actors to perform. But it's so visually compelling, even though the sets aren't super crowded. I think of a movie like The Favorite, where it's a period piece. And every single one of those sets that Yorgos Lanthimos has all these portraits all over the wall. The lighting is really unique. All different kinds of stuff in those movies. Well, all the walls are very barren. The sets are very quiet, but the walls, the ceilings are huge. The walls are really wide, and the space is very vacant, and it leaves a lot of room for the story to be told. There's these cool shots with these pillars. There's this really incredible shot when Macbeth is coming home and Frances McDormand is reading a letter. She opens up these windows into the night sky and throws this burning letter out the window, and just the way that it's shot is so gorgeous and captivating. And that's really the entire film, is watching these beautiful set pieces. And the cinematography is just so incredible. It's really something that you just have to experience for yourself. It's one of those movies that they say every frame a painting. It really does look like a piece of art in every single scene. The sound design in this movie is really ominous. There's a lot of attention to detail in the sound. It almost reminded me of Eraserhead, just how vivid and jarring the sound design is in this movie. There's a lot of moments where you'll hear water or blood droplets mixing in with the sounds of footsteps of soldiers outside. And those parallels between the two are really great, and they create this atmosphere that, like I said, if you struggle with the Old English or you're having a difficult time keeping on track with what they're saying, because of the visual cues and the sound design and the score that's inserted, which the score is very limited. They only utilize it when it's completely and totally necessary. But when they do cue the score in, it fits so well with the overall themes and mood that the movie's trying to convey. And this is obviously a story that's been told hundreds of times from different perspectives and from different backgrounds. But I really liked Coen's interpretation of this film. It made Shakespeare interesting to me, which is very difficult to do because I really don't care much for Shakespeare, other than, like I said, the Stephen Toast references are pretty great. Yeah, I've never been one that's really cared much for Shakespeare's work, and this was a way for me to like Shakespeare, and I really enjoyed this film. Not sure where it's going to fall on my list for 2021, because it's not a movie that I connect to very deeply. It's a film that I appreciate technically. I think it's beautiful. The performances are amazing. All of the elements that make it a great piece of film are there for me to really appreciate and enjoy and reflect on. But it's probably not going to be one of my favorites of the year just because I don't connect to Shakespeare like that. So have you seen Tragedy of Macbeth yet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was fantastic. Beautifully shot, made Shakespeare interesting for me, which is not something that's easy to do. As always, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know what type of content you're looking for. I'm trying to get caught up on the remaining 4 movies I have from 2021 that I really want to see before I make this list. So I'm hoping to get that out there soon for you guys so that you can see what my favorites of 2021 were. As always, Internet, thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.